listening to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy.
Du lytter til Your Brain on Air. Programmet vil begynne snart. Lytte.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I am your host, Ollie Vogt Larson. And folks, I'm tired of this negative energy. It is Great Vibe Thursday, all right? I'm not going to start the show talking about scientists making aerosolized bacteriums, viruses, and plagues that are definitely happening, that we all know is happening. And I'm not going to start it talking about, like, goat-headed demon robots that are going to be servants to us, that are going to get us all used to actual demons that are eventually going to, when we all are going to be taking government-mandated DMT, we're going to have these little elves that are going to be walking around washing your dishes for you, and they have to get you used to that. Never mind, wait, I just said I'm not going to start by doing that. I refuse to begin the show talking about things like the disappearing acts that CPS does with most of the kids that they take in. I want to start with some groovy energy. You know what? What about this? I might get copyright claimed, I don't care. Oh, man, you knew it was going to be a good day, or like a good night, especially like your dad, his buddies, they're getting fucked up in the shop, and then they put on Rush. Ooh, you knew you were about to watch some mistakes get made. Like, this song brings back memories. Like, do not mistake my enthusiasm for anger. I look back on this time very fondly. Oh, living on a lighted stage approaches the unreal. For those who think and feel. He has like a David Bowie thing, doesn't he? He has like a bit of that high voice register. Maybe that's just me. Anyways, I'm not gonna listen. I'm happy to see a woman like Anne Hathaway taking space in men-occupied fields like pedophilia. If you do not know about that, ladies and gentlemen, check the Epstein files. Put on this groovy music while I talk about this to set the vibe. Ooh. Folks, I saw The Odyssey 2. I know that she plays Penelope pretty poorly, by the way, like not very well. And listen, if you don't believe me, why is she in the Epstein Files email chain? Her and Jake Gyllenhaal, they were on a guest list for like this all-young girl event, according to the description. Like, this email was like public knowledge before this movie premiered in theaters. She is now the highest grossing actress of 2026. Guys, it's all in plain sight. No wonder her face wasn't moving when she was crying. Like, baby blood, it tightens the skin. It's crazy how, like, she looks great for her age. I'm not gonna deny it. Guys, I feel great today. I feel really good. I don't know how you're doing today, but I hope that I can brighten up the energy somehow, because this is just like, this is a vibe, solidly, ladies and gentlemen. Before I get copyright claimed, I'm gonna shut that shit off, because, you know, we don't need it to set the vibe. You and me are all we need to vibe, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me if I don't cough, or if I talk for an extended period of time. I like too much saliva build up in my throat, and I gotta cough and I gotta swallow. It's ridiculous, especially if you talk on a tangent. You know what I mean? I don't know how, like, Larry King, I understand that he did mostly interview stuff, so he had time to kind of do, like, you know how old men, I'm terrified about when I get old, and I'm still gonna be doing this, obviously, because I have no reason to stop at any point, but I'm terrified for the ages of me doing this, where I'm going to be Larry King. I'm gonna have his exact posture, I have his exact hairline, it's coming in right now, I have glasses like him, and you're gonna hear me in 2083, and it's gonna be me celebrating my 80th birthday, and I'll be like, today we have Bad Bunny on the show, and it's like, my voice is gonna get low like his. I cannot wait for this era, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned, you know what I mean? It's probably, I already have been told for my entire life, it's old man energy. I judge people way too quick, I people watch, it's like kind of creepy. I'm just gonna be honest with you, I'm the type of guy where it's like I have binoculars and I look out my window because I just love neighborhood watching. That's literally all that I do. I got that from my grandpa, apparently. He does the same exact shit. He'll sit and he'll just watch people. It's like, I don't know what it is, but like me and my grandpa, we're always looking out. That's like part of who we are. You know what I mean? It's like, what is the, okay, interesting thing that came out in the linguistics world lately. There was a test that was performed by a black linguist. Actually, I think I'm going to try to find the image, and I'm going to try to put it on the screen for you today, just so that you can actually get a visual reference. So this image shows Cookie Monster laying in the bed, like it's Sesame Street characters, so it's easy for the kids to understand. And then Cookie Monster is laying in the bed. He appears appears to be like ill or something like that. Then we have Elmo, and Elmo appears to like he's holding the cookie, and then I think he's got like his doesn't he have like a teddy bear and whatnot? He has whatever something in his other hand, but he's holding cookies and he's eating cookies. Elmo is right in like he's in the active action of eating them. And then what's his name? Bert and Ernie. He's Ernie. Yes, God, I'm losing my memory on my Sesame Street characters. I gotta freshen up. Ernie is sitting there. It appears that he's watching a cat eat some food. It's really like, it's whatever. It's like a coloring book image. And then they showed this image to a group of white kids and a group of black kids. And you're going to find this really, really interesting. When the kids were asked the same question, which was this, it was, who be eating cookies? Who be eating cookies? Very simple kind of phrasing and whatnot. It sounds like it would be kind of the more, it sounds like the more urban pronunciation. That's the gentle way of saying it. But like, who be eating cookies? That's what she asked them. And then the white kids, they all answered that Elmo was the one eating cookies. And then interestingly, like a solid, like I think the majority of the black children said that it was Cookie Monster who be eating cookies. And then their explanation was, he's not eating them right now, but in general, like he's the one who is eating cookies. So it's a habitual kind of definition of the word be, in the sense where when you say that someone be doing this, like me and my grandpa be looking out all the time, me and my grandpa are just kind of people watching, we be looking out, doesn't necessarily mean that we're doing it right now, but it means that we can be found doing it very often, to the point where it is almost, it's like something that defines us. It almost becomes kind of a one-to-one thing, where you see this person as kind of associated. Cookie Monster is always the one eating cookies. He's not eating them right now, but he always kind of is. Who be eating the cookies? White kids say Elmo. They don't apparently speak AAVE. They are dumb. They don't understand. The black kids, they hear it and they like speak two languages. They're like, actually it's Cookie Monster. I mean, sure, Elmo is eating one right now, but Cookie Monster is really the one that we know be going after the cookies. I'm fascinated by this. The habitual bee is like what you can look up. It's a very interesting study. Whatever, I'll find the image and I'll put it up on the screen so that you guys can take a look at it, because I found it to be really interesting. Maybe you will. I don't know. I literally have no idea if you're going to find this interesting or not. You could or you couldn't. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of something you could or couldn't find interesting, the United States is banning a lot of new foreign-made robots. They do not want China swooping in on the market of dishwashing robots that are going to definitely put a lot of people that work in kitchens out of work, unfortunately. We're getting to the point of like automated janitors. We're getting to the point of like places are going to go, why would I hire some meth addict, some felon? Why would I hire some guy like factories are also thinking about this. They're going, why would we take the risk of hiring somebody who has like a lengthy criminal record, which, let's be honest, is most people that are working in these factory jobs, or people that just, they don't have anywhere else to go. They're kind of trapped. They live in this rural area, and this is the factory that's kind of keeping the area alive. I get it. That's just where some people land sometimes. I'm not judging. But I'm saying that like they don't want those jobs to be swooped in by Chinese-made robots, because then we're just sending money over to China. Who wants to do that? We want to collect all that money for ourselves. If we're going to put our American people out of a job, if we're going to like betray our own civilians this way, and I'm not even saying that it's like the government who's mandating all of this stuff, but they seem in bed with all of the big tech companies. So they're not standing in its way. You know what I mean? So I'm going, eventually they're saying, okay, we're not going to go the way of like, what is the Chinese model for AI? I cannot remember it right now. Chinese AI company. Please forgive me. I'm DeepSeek. Yes. Moonshot AI and Baidu. Alibaba has one apparently. Interesting. But whatever. DeepSeek is that big one and whatnot. They don't want DeepSeek robots to be the ones that are coming in and stealing your dad's job. They don't want that. Like, your dad is an analytics guy. He's like a person who does like the numbers, or he's an IT worker. He writes code for their, or like, he's the guy that you call when you can't get into your login. You know what I mean? That's the person. He's out of a job tomorrow. I'm going to be honest with you, because they'd rather have you calling like an automated line that they can just kind of subsidize with, maybe like they're paying like this $30 a month trial with this AI company, where it's like, yeah, you can do a dial code system. Your employees will never get lost through that. Yeah, that's the idea here. They're going to pitch it to all of these companies as, Why would you entrust people who want to siphon away for like 401k money from you? That you're going to be paying these people for 40 years, likely until they retire. You're going to be paying out the nose for these people when you can just pay us $30 a month. And honestly, we are going to advise you. We're going to be sitting on your boards eventually. There is going to be a lot of scenarios where people, even decision makers, like the major decision maker heads, I know people are going, well, no, actually, they really want like a human brain making that decision. Why? Why would they actually want that? The human brain, it led to the financial crisis of 2008. It led to, in all honesty, every single recession that we've had beforehand, every single depression, every single major crisis, in their minds has been made by human beings. We're fallible. Like, honestly, the guy who's making your major financial decisions at your company, he could be cheating on his wife, and he could have that on his mind all day. He could be sitting in meetings, just getting antsy. He's getting a text from this broad, and he's like, oh, maybe we can meet up at Dallas Burgers or something, and I can meet her in the bathroom. And then he's just like living off of that high. He's living off of adrenaline. He's some 38-year-old, you know what I mean? He's got 2 kids with this lady he fell out of love with 12 years ago. He's just like, oh man, I can't wait to get the fuck out of here. I can't believe my dad even got me this job. And then he's just like, all right, yeah, cut the Cleveland branch, whatever. It's like like, why would we want a human being who is susceptible, open, and available to the influences and the evils of this world? Why would we want you sinful little bitch? Why wouldn't we want something like HAL 9000? Like, listen, I'm not opening the pod bay doors. I'm not, if you are a human being that I believe is threatening the mission of this company, if you're a little ant employee who is threatening the global image of Pillsbury, I will annihilate you. I'm going to kill your family. I'm going to find where your mother lives. I'm going to make sure that she gets evicted. I'm going to make sure she's living with you. I'm going to find your in-laws' house. I'm going to burn it to the ground. I'm going to make sure that we build a data center next to your house. I'm going to make sure your children can't sleep. I'm going to make sure that I buy out the school. I'm going to make sure that I fill it with a bunch of crime. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to make sure like inner city kids are getting bussed in. I know that you pay for that private school, but I'm going to make sure that your kids have no other choice. I'm going to make sure that your life is a living hell. That's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. These threats are real. This is actual. And if you're some little tiny thing, if you're just like some guy who you package the little donuts, you know what? What are the things? They're like, you pop them, the canisters where it's like you twist them and then you make little cinnamon rolls out of it. You package those little things. But if you happen to like see a girl break her arm and we just tell her to get out of here before we call the cops, is she some immigrant? You know what I mean? We were hiring her for fucking half of what we pay all of you guys. You know, she had no reason to be here, and honestly, she was taking more of a risk than we are. So, like, get the fuck out of here. We're not paying for that broken arm. You're gonna have to go tell your husband that you guys have to go to another town, and he's gonna have to set your arm in the car. It's gonna be ridiculous, but like, we're gonna ruin our employees' lives. It's real and it's actual, ladies and gentlemen. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's what these AI models are being brought in to do. It's meant to log in to your team's chat rooms and say, like, you know, read all of you and your coworkers' messages. That's what's gonna make them decide whether or not they want to fire you. Are you talking shit about the company in the team's chats? Are you even like, oh, well, where do you go at the end of the day? Because guess what? We're interlinked with Flock and shit like that. No one knows where that data is going. Guess what? We're all interlinked. We're building Skynet right above all of you. You guys can't even go above to like 3-story buildings because most of you don't live in towns that are larger than that. You guys don't know that there's a big dome being built over the entire world. It's not actual, it's not real, but it is like, it's the firmament. We are becoming God, and we're looking down on you. We're seeing you all as our Adams and Eves, to which we will punish to our greatest will. And I love that. I'm really happy for them, because if we're gonna live in, we're living in a new period of kind of a societal rearrangement, if not a full collapse. It's gonna be a weird time to be alive. It's kind of like the rearranging of the ancient world. You know what I mean? It's gonna be an idea revolution. I believe that with the emergence of AI and all that nonsense, we're gonna have we're gonna have to leave the internet eventually, because we realize that if you go on Instagram, if you go on to Facebook, most comments, if they're not from your friends or family, they look exactly the same as everyone else's. Most of them are completely unoriginal. They look copy and pasted from other posts that you've seen before. I think dead internet theory is pretty positively confirmed at this point, that there's very few actual people creating content out there. I believe the latest statistic was 40 to 60% of content, depending on what platform you are on, is AI generated. So that's a terrifying world to live in, where it's like, oh, I thought that we were still living in that pre-2022, because that December 2022, I believe, is when the first major like open AI platform where it was like you could talk to it and whatnot. I think that was OpenAI's launch. Like, that was a day in our lives where everything changed. It's 2022 will like fundamentally everything after that will never be like 2012. You're never going to have another age where the internet is mostly human beings. You're going to have to create platforms even individually like made to confirm that every person on it is real. But even then, that's going to be a major breach of privacy. You got to think about the idea that a lot of people are going to have to confirm their real ID, probably via some sort of thing like the UK has right now, unfortunately, where they've lost a lot of privacy on the internet because you have to be able to confirm it through your actual physical ID. You have to do that for porn websites now in a couple states in the United States. It's real, it's actual, it's hilarious. You go onto a porn site now in North Dakota, it's some lady who's going, "We're gonna need to see your ID. Due to a new change in state and local laws, we will have to confirm that you are above or the age of 18. I love that so much. I love the idea of people just getting ready to do whatever it is they do to porn. I'm not sure what exactly that might be, it's not the same for everybody. Some people, you put it on for ambience when you're playing Scrabble or something like that. There's a lot of different reasons to visit adult websites for a lot of people these days. You know what I mean? You need something to watch while your polycule has, a Domino's pizza together. I get it. That's just kind of the world we live in these days. And it's the big 26, ladies and gentlemen. But what was my original point? Oh yeah. A lot of the internet is AI. 57% something. I don't know. It's like around that 50%. I have no idea. It depends on what platform. So we're going to have to, I think a lot of people are going to have to escape the internet. I'm not saying that we're going to have to completely abandon it. I'm saying that like we're going to have to think about like only visiting it every now and then. We're going to have to mostly, I think, there's going to be different versions of contact. I'm not saying it's going to be metaverse. I don't think we're all going to be like doing whatever Mark Zuckerberg wants. I think it's going to be I think it's a lot of it is probably going to be as tech free as we can be, but I'm not going to say we're going to be able to escape it. I think TikTok is still going to be a huge thing, especially for like the youth and people who are like lonely in their 40s. I think that that's a lot, honestly, of the platform. It's a lot. It's a crazy amount of people like making videos of themselves in bed, like they have a huge beard, they have no shirt on, and they're just like wishing you good morning. That's a lot of TikTok these days, and Instagram, but it's very fun. I like it. It's kind of a nice vibe where it's like, oh, these gentle old men have nothing better to do with their time every morning. They have no one else in their lives to entertain them, so they go to the internet for validation, which is fun. It's entertaining, it's fun to watch. I like it. The internet is great for what it is, but I think we're going to have a human new renaissance. It's going to be based around art in the real world. It's going to be based around, things that people actually make with their hands. At least that's my theory. I feel like statues are going to be in eventually. I feel like people are going to start caring about art, at least in a sense where I don't think a smear on a canvas is not going to be as powerful these days. We're going to demand a lot more. I think I don't love to theorize about it because I try not to get too big into the artsy side of content and whatnot, because I think that I think the entire art world is silly to some extent because it's overhyped. I think that art in many ways it means what it means to you. I think you lose control of it once you put it out into the world. At least that's what I've noticed most art to be. People make of it what they will. They'll take their interpretations of it, of you, all of these sorts of things. It's the death of the author. It's whatever. So I try not to put a price on these sorts of things. I try not to evaluate them too much like that. But I feel as though I think tactileness is back. I think that in reality, creation is back. I feel like public works, art, community art is going to be big. I feel like, multimedia art. You make a canvas, but you put a bunch of shit on it. You know what I mean? It's like paper mache if you're fun or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing shit out there because I feel like humans are going to need to get way more creative in this next century, because I think 2022, our lives changed. Not to only to compound on what COVID did to all of us just 2 years before. You know, it wasn't a long time to recoup. I think that a lot more people needed quite a bit more time. I'm just going to put it that way. I think that, that era of when AI really had its boom, it kind of changed the idea of how we think about things that are made on the internet. I think that we're going to have a lot more appreciation for things that are in the real world, things that are immediate to us, things that are created by people that we are close to, connected to, people like friends and family. I feel like there's going to be a lot more appreciation for the outside world. I feel like the Frutiger era future that we all want, where a laptop just kind of gently sits on a lawn and like there's a blue sky in the background and there's people like, I don't know, blowing bubbles and having fun and dancing on that lawn. Like that's like a reality we could still have as long as we have lawns. You know what I mean? I mean, like there's some serious drought conditions in a lot of the world. I promised myself I wouldn't be doing this. I promised myself that I'd be a little more positive. I promised myself that I'd give Positive Thursday a chance. I promised that I'd like get into a groove. But I'm struggling. You know what I mean? It's hard not to get a little negative, especially when the world is how it is. But then again, the world is always negative. And to think about it that way is to be just kind of like this downer piece of shit. Like the world is always going to have degrees of bad to it. The only thing we have is now. So like we can just live in future. We can live in terror of the future. But like to try not to let it ruin the time now. The time now has some things to appreciate, like a lot. There's still, the earth is still around. There's, you're alive. That's great things. Those are two great things. I just named two. The Federal Communications Commission has added foreign-made advanced robotic devices to its restricted covered list, effectively banning new models of overseas produced robots from entering the United States market. So they're targeting network-connected mobile hardware, including humanoid robots, quadruped, the robot dogs, the sidewalk delivery units also, and industrial automation bots, the ones that are going to be taking a lot of people's jobs very, very soon. Federal officials are citing the growing cyber vulnerabilities, data privacy risks, and potential supply chain sabotages as their main reasons behind the new regulations. And they're hitting manufacturers in China mainly, which dominate roughly 85% of the global commercial robotics and humanoid robotics market. They're also warning that foreign-controlled connected devices equipped with the cameras, sensors, and remote software access could be exploited to map critical infrastructure or conduct unauthorized surveillance, like the Wi-Fi that you all use to surveil us, like the police around your area. They can map your entire zone if they just ask. They ask for a little bit of help. They can patch right into the data and they can map your entire home. Not that they would need it because they can just get the blueprints whenever they want, but it helps to know when where the humanoids are. You know what I mean? They can also use a lot of the technology. They can sit outside your house with a van and literally it's like an X-ray type of view, but it literally can see you. They have heat-based ones. They have ones that cut right through it with sound waves, all this sort of stuff. It's very interesting technology. So basically, the existing models already in use or unauthorized prior to the ruling remain legal for consumers. Businesses, no foreign robotic platforms will receive the FCC authorizations required for commercial sale or import. So they're just like, we're done. Beijing is condemning the decision. They're accusing Washington of trade protectionism and warning that the ban will disrupt global technology supply chains. Meanwhile, domestic automation companies and industrial groups welcome the decision as a decisive boost for the American manufacturing market. Of course, they're happy about this. They're like, well, if we're gonna be putting a lot of people out of a job, if we're gonna be doing mass surveillance, might as well be American companies that are benefiting. And you know what? Fair, I guess. I mean, you got to find the silver lining in everything. Some U.S. robotics firms are cautioning that the near-term disruptions could occur as developers are rushing to replace imported components and reconfigure supply chains around domestic production standards. The
U.S. now going America first on robots, from humanoids to your Roomba.
The Roomba is made for challenges like this.
As the Federal Communications Commission moved to ban new foreign-made mobile robots, citing unacceptable risks they pose to economic and national security.
This is about mitigating our dependency and vulnerabilities going forward.
The ban affects all foreign tech, but most heavily impacts China, a robotics
Nice.
juggernaut that's estimated to control about 85% of the global market for humanoid robots. Tom, on a recent trip to China, seeing the robots for himself.
You're gonna put these faces, these heads on the robots?
Yeah, like in the future.
The ban doesn't affect existing products already sold here, but would include new mobile mechanical devices over a certain weight, meaning humanoids, dog-like robots with 4 legs, but also swept up in the ban any new version of smart vacuums, including Roombas.
No way.
Make maps of our houses. They have cameras on them. They can be sending data back to their whatever companies they're made from.
So they want the American companies to collect all of that data. Makes perfect sense. Why would they want China to be able to build this surveillance on Americans when they could benefit from this? We want CIA being able to access your Wi-Fi.
That's where the real concern, I think, can be with the robot vacuums.
NBC News chief tech analyst Joanna Stern has tested both American-made and Chinese-made vacuums and says the ban is going to cost customers.
It means that some of the most affordable robo vacuums that they could get, they might not be able to get to.
Beijing now threatening to retaliate as the robot race hits a new stride. Brian Chung, NBC News.
NBC News. Ladies and gentlemen, it sucks that these are going to be the robots. It's if you wanted anybody to take your job, American made or Chinese made, you answer that question. I'll pretend that I heard the answer. That's a great answer. I'm really happy about that answer, and I think that you're really smart for that answer. The Senate committee has voted to hold Fauci in contempt of Congress. Interesting. The Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee voted today, Thursday, to hold former chief medical advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci in contempt of Congress. So, this is after the hearing last week where he invoked his Fifth Amendment. Just to remind you all, the Fifth Amendment protects you against the self-incrimination. It means that you choose not to speak against yourself. He used that more than 100 times, refusing to answer any questions regarding the origin of COVID-19 and the federal response. It was led by the committee chairman Rand Paul, and Republicans are arguing that Fauci's invocation of the Fifth Amendment is invalid because he received a federal pardon covering his government service prior to President Joe Biden leaving office. So, those GOP lawmakers are contending that the pardon shields Fauci from any sort of federal prosecution. It leaves him without any legal justification to withhold his testimony. However, committee Democrats and Fauci's legal team are pushing back. They are asserting that answering new questions under oath could subject him to perjury traps or state-level legal challenges that are not covered by a presidential pardon. So they're saying you're looking to spring a trap on this guy. He's an innocent little 85-year-old. He's a sweet little scientist, and you all need to leave him alone. That is a lot of these people's arguments. So rather than advancing the contempt resolution to the full Senate floor, where it's going to face, obviously, the real big hurdle of the 60th vote threshold, he has instead decided that he is going to send it over to the Department of Justice. So now federal prosecutors are going to be the ones to decide whether or not they're going to pursue criminal charges against him. Very interesting.
So breaking news, Republicans are taking a step toward holding Dr. Anthony Fauci in contempt of Congress. The Senate Homeland Security Committee voted along party lines to recommend Fauci be held in contempt over his refusal to answer questions on the pandemic response. The vote now goes to the full Senate, where it is likely to fail without any Democratic support. ABC's Jay O'Brien is on Capitol Hill. Jay.
Yeah, Perry, and so this cleared out of the Republican-led Senate Homeland Security Committee. Again, as you say, the argument from Republicans was that Anthony Fauci was not allowed, in the view of the chairman Rand Paul and other Republicans on this panel, to plead the Fifth more than the 100 times he did when he testified before this panel, because he had that preemptive pardon from President Biden, and the view is that that pardon negates Fauci's ability to plead the Fifth, although that's a novel legal argument that even Paul says is going to have to be tested in court. What Anthony Fauci
it's not going to hold.
This panel, in his view, has a, quote, unhinged obsession with him. And he said the chairman has that obsession with putting him behind bars. And he accused Chairman Paul of essentially trying to set a kind of a perjury trap to get him to testify before this committee and then refer him for allegedly lying before this committee for whatever Fauci would have said. And so that's why Fauci said he repeatedly decided to plead the Fifth. The question here is on exactly what happens next. What Paul has indicated now that he's going to do is he's going to end run that Senate vote that you mentioned that has a 60 vote threshold that almost certainly would have failed on the Senate floor. And instead of sending this contempt resolution to the Senate for a vote, he's going to try to send it right to the Department of Justice, which is not the usual process. That is also novel in its own way. And so the question is, will the DOJ take up that referral? And if they do, and they choose to bring criminal charges against Anthony Fauci, what will the court say about the committee saying that Fauci doesn't have have the ability to exercise his constitutional right to plead the Fifth.
Yeah, that's not happening. It's not happening. I'm sorry. This is a non-fight. This is not going to work in their favor. They're chasing something that is, a lot of the times it's performance art, which I like it. I'm happy that they're having their fun. They're putting on their show. They're getting people passionate about it. And yes, it would be fun and interesting to see Anthony Fauci held accountable for the things that he's done. Is that ever going to happen? No. This is like getting excited over the idea of, like, I don't know, someone who's not like a black rapper like R. Kelly or P. Diddy going to jail. You know what I mean? Or like, let's be honest, Bill Cosby. You know what I mean? Like, and also racial minority Harvey Weinstein. These people are victims to some extent. You need to have some sympathy for everybody. Otherwise, what makes you human, ladies and gentlemen? But in all honesty, it's ridiculous to assume that these people will ever face any amount of justice unless they happen to be a racial minority, like Weinstein, a Jew, and, all of these fine gentlemen like R. Kelly and P. Diddy, black gentlemen. It's ridiculous to expect the justice system to hold, people like Anthony Fauci, who, he'll go like, well, we're Italian. I'm not technically white. You're basically at this point. You know what I mean? I know that whole stereotype broke down at a certain point, probably like around the 60s, like that's sort of the whole Italian stereotype. There's still stereotypes, but you're mostly white. Let's be honest. It's the melting pot you've melted in. And it's like you're like the Irish or the Scottish, still claiming to be like some sort of different entity. Honestly, nobody looks at people with red hair anymore and still thinks that they're like a different race. That's not happening, unfortunately. For the people who would like to make that argument, it's not happening. Ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Fauci, he's always puts on a good show. That you got to give him his credit where it's deserved. He's a sweetie. He's got an energy where it's like, I feel like he appreciates every single compliment that I give him. I feel as though I will be appearing in his journal at some point in history. That would be a beautiful thing. His journal will go down in history as maybe better than Anne Frank's. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about the rapid fire section of today's headlines. Lots of things you need to know about in order to keep your media diet healthy. Speaking of healthy, actually the epitome of health, McDonald's reported now the slowest sales growth in over a year. So this is essentially saying, like, don't get it twisted. They're not saying that our sales have plummeted or fallen over the last few years. It's that our growth has slowed over the last few years. And that is apparently, listen, I don't think anybody wants to eat their fellow man. Nobody wants to eat human flesh. Everybody understands now because of Epstein files and because of a lot of conversation that has been going around as of late, the things that have gone mainstream. A lot of people they're not comfortable with the idea of eating their fellow man or children. People are not comfortable with finding baby teeth in their food. That's not something that the people want anymore. I don't want to be having a McFlurry with my child and for them to find like an eye in it. That's terrifying to me. But that's exactly what you're expecting when you go to McDonald's. So of course, in this health-conscious America we've developed, the Maha America, make America healthy again, many people are being like, why would I want to risk getting human meat in any of my burgers? Why would I risk prion disease? Why would I risk cannibalism? You know what I mean? That's like a terrifying thing to have to think about. I would rather go to the store and know, you know what I mean? I've known this butcher for a while, you know what I mean? He's a felon, but like this is the only job that he could get, and he's cleaned his life up quite a bit. I mean, he's got this girlfriend that he yells at behind the shop every now and then, but like, well, it's because she honestly, she pulls up often a lot. She's always like, why aren't you texting my back? Why aren't you texting me back? They don't seem good for each other, but like, he seems like a good enough dude. I trust him to slaughter a cow, and I trust him to cut it up, and people around the community, they bring him deer that they've shot, and then he'll cut it up for him. He's a really professional butcher. I'd rather go to this guy. I'd rather go to the guy with a girlfriend with cigarette burns on her arm, and I want him to have like a tattoo on his neck. I'd rather have that than risk going to McDonald's.
McDonald's is warning about what it calls a challenging consumer environment. Sales at its U.S. restaurants from April through June grew at the slowest pace in more than a year. The fast food giant had rolled out this big slate of deals to try to attract diners who are frustrated with high prices, but McDonald's admitted that some of those deals just fell flat. So, for example, it launched an under $3 menu in April, only about 2/3 of its franchises actually end up offering the menu at suggested prices. McDonald's CEO says all the various promotions that it offered at the same time led to confusion for staff and for customers, adding that it is tough to break through.
It also makes no sense, like economically anymore, to bring your kids to McDonald's. Back in the day, it was like, well, it's a cheaper option, and if I don't feel like cooking dinner, like, you know what I mean? It's like it's a little on the pricier side, but admittedly, it's like 2 dinners like worth. It's like hey, fine, I'll pay for the convenience factor, so fine. It's like a once in a while thing, but many people nowadays, it's like, I'm not paying $4 for a hash brown. I'm not going there for like a $5 coffee. I'm not who's doing this? You honestly wouldn't make sense to yourself or anyone else. Like, you try explaining this to your mother. Try explaining this to your father, the people that like economically supported you for the first 18 years of your life, and then they're like, oh, I hope he's out there making really good decisions, and then you go to them and you're like, I just spent $40 for a pizza on DoorDash, and it's like, how proud are they gonna be?
When you have that many messages out there. And we know that these fast food wars have gotten very heated, with chains like Burger King, Wendy's, Subway, all offering competing deals. But worth noting, guys, a new AP North poll that was out this week found that more than half of Americans have cut down on eating out in order to pay for other necessities, guys.
More than half.
Well, also, they should stop eating out because it's killing you. Like, it's going to murder you. You will die if you overdo it, and if you're you know, blah, 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 and you eat everything that's in sight, you're gonna die. You're gonna die sooner than everybody, and then that's gonna, you know, you're just gonna be remembered as that person where it's like, yeah, you know, she or he was like fun, but like then, then he lost a foot, whatever. She had to go in for this operation because she had like a heart valve or whatever, something like that. But just like it didn't pull through and whatever. It was, how old were they? Like, I don't know, like 60 something. It's like, oh man, that's young. And then they're like, well, actually no. And then like, they started getting bad when they were like 50 something, and they were like getting like these aches and whatnot, and they were just like, it was pretty bad. And that was before like the cancer showed up and whatnot. But it's like, what do you do? You know what I mean? That's like, those are future stories that are being told by people. Like, I understand the risks that people want to be like, show the smoker ads, show the lady who takes out her teeth, or no, the guy who's like, I started smoking at 23. I thought that I needed a pack a day, and then he takes out all of his teeth and shit like that, and he smiles. Or the lady with the hole in her neck, it was like, Janice died 2 days after recording this. It's like, holy shit, we need to do that, but for people who are addicted to fast food or overconsumption, just gluttony, we need those ads where it's like, I started overeating at 18 years old. It was shortly after I left high school or whatever, and then I began gaining weight. And then it's gonna be these tragic stories about people with like 5 stents in their heart. It's gonna be these tales of people who have had like 3 lung replacements. It's gonna be ridiculous. These stories of like people who their body is ridden with cancers. They have no idea what else they could be going wrong with them. That's a terrifying reality for a lot of these people that are going to be addicted to overeating or fast food. It rots you from the inside out. You got to be careful. And that's the thing, is you got to catch it early. You got to catch it early, because if you stay on this shit for 50, 60 years, that's when it gets to you. If you're like, oh, I've already been overeating 20 years. How am I going to fix? It's early. The human body recovers from things so quickly, and it's so versatile, and you have every chance. You just have to stop lying to yourself that you don't have the chance. A lot of people, they're like, well, I'm already fat and I'm fucking 32. It's like, what are you doing? You're giving up so fucking early. Even like if you're like, oh, I'm 56 and I fucking like my weight's out of control. It's never too late. It's never too late to give yourself the chance of an extended life. The human body recovers remarkably, and if it can take a lot of abuse, it really can. Smokers the same. Their lungs can recover to some extent, but like the damage that they've done has some effect, but they can generally still live quality lives. And there's a chance for every person, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to get that message out there. The idea is, I don't want people to be sitting there going, it's hopeless for me because I overate and now I fucked up my body and I'm never going to look hot again. So I might as well just stay the fat uncle or some shit like that. It's like, there's never a chance. There's never a chance for, it's over. That's the biggest, most pathetic thing that you can do. It's giving up, and it inspires nobody, and it demotivates every person around you. It honestly, it has this poisonous effect. If you've known people that are either addicted to drugs, addicted to food, addicted to anything, it kind of rots not only their soul, but the souls of the people around them. The souls of the people around them get affected in a way where it's like, man, like, you know, if fucking cousin Ruby couldn't get her life together and fucking she took heroin until she died and now her fucking 4 kids are left alone or whatever, it's like, what hope is there for me? You know what I mean? She was a mother and she couldn't get it to fucking together. You know why would I even hold it? Like, it has this radioactive effect. If you give up on your life, if you give up on your health, if you give up on who you are, it has this, like, you don't even realize it, but you are permeating and ruining the spirits of the people around you. And maybe those people will go like, well, then I should just die quicker. Then, you know, if that's the kind of system of thought that you're locked into, that's a mode of selfishness that you have yet to realize, that you have yet to break out of, and it takes everybody an extended period of time. It doesn't matter. It's whatever. I'm done lecturing. Because, you know what I mean? Who am I to lecture? I don't know shit. I'm not like anybody. I'm just like a person who's talking, and people can choose to listen whether or not they'd like to. You know, and speaking of fast food... Let's talk about one of my favorites, Dairy Queen. A longtime Dairy Queen owner is raising concerns about a cannabis dispensary preparing to open next door to his business along Medicine Lake Road in Golden Valley, Minnesota. Dan Lohman placed a message on the restaurant's sign reading, "Weed shop, children don't mix. Respect, GV." I think GV is like an initial or something like that. I have no idea. Golden Valley, GV. That makes sense. Lohman and his concerns were directed primarily at the city of Golden Valley, and the location was of the proposed dispensary rather than the business itself or the people who use cannabis. This guy's a dork, you know what I mean? He's going, I don't want a weed place across from the school or whatever. You know what I mean? He's trying to have a Lawrence Fishburne moment. He's like, gentrification. First they move in the weed stores, then they move in the alcohol, then they move in the gun stores because they want us to kill ourselves. But he's a white guy, so it just doesn't have the gravity. You know what I mean? When a black guy talks about this, it just talks, you feel it in your soul. But when this like whitey is trying to explain to me like, weed shop, children don't mix, gentrification.
Weed shop and children don't mix. Respect. So this is a very unique
Respect.
situation.
A cannabis dispensary is getting ready to move in next to a longtime Dairy Queen. Owner Dan Lohman has made his feelings about the location pretty clear.
It's not even anything to do with the dispensary. It's between me and Golden Valley and the community. I believe that they should have got a conditional use permit to ask the community's input on if a cannabis shop should go there.
The issue is just how close the dispensary comes to a boundary set by the city. Golden Valley requires cannabis retailers be at least 500 feet from schools, playgrounds, and athletic fields. Across Medicine Lake Road sits Terra Linda Park in neighboring New Hope. The city says while part of the park itself falls within the 500-foot buffer, the playground does not. The play structure and gazebo clear the cutoff by about 60 feet. Golden Valley says its zoning rules align with state law, and as long as the dispensary is outside a buffered area, the city can't block it.
Well, shit.
Meeting the requirements doesn't erase his concerns.
There's many children outside here all day long.
Brother, you know, the kids, are they allowed in the weed shop? Like, are they, like, I understand your concerns. You're like, well, they're gonna be like me when I was a scumbag fucking Gen Xer. I would, like, sit outside alcohol stores and I'd be like, hey, can you, like, get us, we'll give you $20 or something like that. Not $20. These people only had 10 back then, let's be honest.
Schools come down in packs of 100 when school starts and when schools let out for the season and summer camps. Well, I want to keep my business healthy, and let's see, 1964 was the year this started, and it's been children and families have kept it going.
Okay, so like, what's the issue if the parents are going to be a little high? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't see the issue. You know what I mean? You bring your kids to get some Dairy Queen. Maybe you distract the kids while dad runs in there and grabs you and him a blunt for later that night. It's awesome. You know what I mean? We got to normalize this shit. The way that alcohol was very normalized. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't escape the idea that people are going to be bringing this into their homes. I believe it is child abuse to like leave your alcohol out or whatever to where the kids can access it. That is a form of child abuse. You know what I mean? You're not putting the alcohol to their lips, but you're putting it around them. You know what I mean? It's like it's a little ridiculous in my personal view. But ladies and gentlemen, Elise Thompson, she's with a group called Stop the Sweeps. She pleaded with the St. Paul City Council to halt Wednesday's plan of tearing down what appears to be like this encampment and whatnot. But the city is moving forward anyways. They already have. They are attempting to clear it. We're going to play some footage from how it's going, but I just wanted to refer back to yesterday to get an impassioned plea from the opposing side.
This is the last hour. The eviction is tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to invite everyone to share their voices together with me.
Yes.
And to share their courage, because I hope that song could help change your mind.
Oh my God.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love.
Oh my God. Stop this for a moment. Barb from Stranger Things gained a little weight. She's got these nice beads. I love them. They look great around her neck. She's got this nice little man shirt and whatnot, and this... Oh, she's showing a little bit too much shoulder for my taste. But, like, damn. I love her little engine beads that she has hanging from her ears. Those look kind of pretty. But she, I'm going to let her finish, actually. Thank you, that's time. All right, let's see how it's going.
I made it very clear to Assistant Mayor Baker and Assistant Mayor Schumacher that bringing any heavy equipment in this morning will absolutely be an escalation. And so, emergency vehicles were sort of the goal of why they were trying to clear space. And I said, no one's going to stop a fire engine from coming in here. No one's stopping an ambulance from coming in here. So I made it clear that the skid loader and heavy equipment is the escalation right now, helping in the horror, and adding heavy equipment will escalate the tension when folks are already...
So there's ladies and gentlemen in like these nice little Arab wraps around their head. They look pretty. It's kind of the usual protest garb I've noticed of this day and age. It's kind of fun. But they're having fun. They are yelling at people who are trying to move the encampment. They're trying to bring in bulldozers and whatnot, and they're really going for it. They're like yelling at them. They're screaming. Let's see a little bit more.
This morning. If anybody is interested in shelter, my team can help get them there. We have our vehicles ready for that.
We believe that having conversations with them, respecting them, and then talking through the plan is the way to go. So as of right now, we will continue to do that. And I just want people to know this will be a long day. We understand that it will be a long day. We respect the individuals that are down there, and we want to continue to respect them by making sure that they not only understand their options, but they have some level of time to make that decision, understanding that the camp is closing.
Let them move in a dignified way.
It's not a camp, it's a park. It's a public park, but all these people were camping in it.
What I'm hearing from a lot of folks is just that extra time would have been great. I get the deadline, but the extra time for all of the resources to come to the table, the city's role, as we've heard from the administration, is to enforce. The county is around resources, the shelter's around beds, but there's nothing about this that is creating more mental health workers, more beds, more food stability. And
this is our home is spray painted on the side of one of these things. Holy
man. A lot of the
man.
residents are going to Randolph, and so we are now also creating another community that is going to feel sort of the influx of this population, and that will potentially cause some tension even in their community. So
I love watching the flaming garbage bag, like bins and whatnot right next to all this stuff. I love my homeless neighbors. I love my fellow populace that lives on the streets and whatnot in like, you know, the Fargo-Moorhead area. There's so many of them. In the Minneapolis area, there's so many of them. Duluth is having some serious problems. Ooh, we'll talk about that tomorrow because I found a news clip about it. And it's fun. And it's a fun issue, and I love going to Duluth, and every time I do, one of my favorite things is to, people watch, especially the homeless, because they have a way of moving in Duluth where it's like, it's enrapturing. You know, Fargo and Minneapolis, a lot of, I'm going to be honest, it's mostly Fargo. Panhandlers everywhere. It gets boring after a while. I want some people that are going to be like, they're going to be folded over because they just shot up. I want people that are going to be hanging out next to thrift stores. I want people that are going to be playing music in the parking lot of a gas station. That also happens in the Fargo-Moorhead area, but I just want more energy from my homeless people. And the homeless people of Duluth have energy, that's for sure. So, St. Paul, best of luck in clearing out that homeless encampment. Neighbors and workers, by the way, they in this area, I think it was near Minneapolis, a grain elevator, an abandoned one in Minneapolis. Neighbors and workers in the area said that an 18-year-old was filming a video for social media when he fell 20 stories inside an abandoned grain elevator. Residents say that they've made hundreds of calls over the years to try to get the city to do something about the building, which frequently sees so-called urban explorers climbing in it. And listen, urban explorers are one of my favorite things on the internet, on the YouTubes to talk, like, ever. I love exploring with Josh. I love his autistic fucking way of speaking. His like, man, this is crazy, man. If you don't know anything about him, exploring with Josh, look into him. His narration is bizarre. It's weird and it's funny to me. I like him. He's cool. And, he looks through interesting stuff. And I assume that he will not be going to this grain elevator because I think they're going to have it condemned and like patrolled here pretty soon. I have no idea. They're also having an issue with their police force in the sense where they're not as well stocked as they'd like to be. So I doubt that they're going to really bother to have the resources to, put out another officer over in this area every night. Honestly, just hire your own security at this point for whoever owns this building. But whatever. Let's take a look at this clip.
As much as we tell them something bad is going to happen, it happened again because they stopped listening to us.
An 18-year-old is fighting for their life in the hospital after what people near this decommissioned grain mill say was a social media stunt gone wrong. You could see this metal beam on the side of the building, and neighbors tell us that 18-year-old was in the middle of hanging off of that beam to film social media urban explorer content when they lost their grip and fell more than 20 stories to a platform below.
That'll do it.
Neighbors who live near here say this has become such an issue over the course of just the last few months even. They say they've called police, they've called 311, they've even talked to their city council members, but the city really is not giving them the response that they want. And if you search social media, TikTok, Instagram, for this location, you'll find video after video after video of young people inside this building. Today we walked the building with one of those neighbors who said she's called police as many times as she possibly can. She says she's, one, heartbroken for this young person that's now fighting for their life, but two, angry because she feels this could have been prevented.
Have conversations about this with your kids. Make sure to tell them, please do not go up in these elevators. Do not go urban exploring in unsafe places. When neighbors tell you it's not safe, listen to the neighbors.
I'm Adam Duxter with WCCO.
Listen to the neighbors, ladies and gentlemen, I guess. You know what I mean? I'm not going to ruin anybody's fun. If you want to, if you want to urban explore, if you want to break some rules, if you want to trespass a little bit, like, Sonny Hostin's son, if you want to be, a little devious boy like that, I understand people are going to go like, no, Sonny Hostin's son is an innocent, she didn't do anything, she's a lawyer or whatever. So yell at me, do whatever you want. She's a goon and she shouldn't be on The View. Ladies and gentlemen, the Minnesota governor's debate at Farmfest. I cannot wait for I've been waiting to cover this with you guys. It's our final story for the day. How are you feeling, by the way? I'm feeling fantastic. I hope you are as well. This has been an excellent episode so far. I feel it in my heart. So let's talk about this. Redwood County, Minnesota. Let me set the scene for you. Basically, the candidates right now in the primary that are vying to become Minnesota's next governor, they all shared the stage. This is probably the first and likely only time that they're all going to be on the single stage. The presumptive Democratic nominee, Senator Amy Klobuchar, joined 3 Republican primary contenders: House Speaker Lisa Demuth, MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell, and healthcare executive Kendall Qualls. Kendall Qualls, like, I don't know if anybody really, like, does anybody know about this guy? Does anybody care? I'm going to be honest with you, woman of color or man of color? We're going with the woman of color, Lisa Demuth, every time. They had a lively discussion. It focused heavily on Greater Minnesota, agricultural policy, the state government oversight. It dominated a lot of the conversation. Klobuchar pointed out to her legislative record on the Senate Agricultural Committee, advocating for streamlined environmental permitting and expanded support for Minnesota's corn-based ethanol industry. Corn-based, i.e., I don't know, it's not my favorite, whatever. Okay, the 3 Republican hopefuls, they all aligned on calls for regulatory rollbacks, lower taxes, and reduced government spending. They pitched a fundamental shift in state policy to rural voters. The panel also clashed over accountability following the state's recent program scandals, with every candidate proposing distinct approaches to tackling fraud. A very Minnesota topic. Klobuchar pledged to launch a top-to-bottom audit of state agencies on day 1 using her background as a prosecutor. Demuth pointed to oversight committees established under her leadership in the House. Qualls urged ending massive spending bills in favor of single-item appropriations, and Lindell called for strict real-time private sector management across state agencies. So, early voting is in its final stretch. Farmfest is showcasing that at the crucial moment of Tuesday's primary election, Minnesota Republicans are going to select their nominee to advance to the November general election against Klobuchar. It's going to be high stakes. I cannot wait.
2026 coverage now. The last big debate in the race for Minnesota governor taking place today at Farmfest. The Redwood County event gives candidates something they don't often get on a big stage: direct access to voters and ag leaders. Tom Hauser was there for the exchanges and all the moments that stood out.
The candidates for governor covered all the key state issues dominating this campaign, from property taxes to fraud to immigration enforcement. These Farmfest political forums have been a staple of Minnesota elections since the 1990s. This gubernatorial forum featured Democrat Amy Klobuchar and 3 potential GOP opponents in the general election. One of the key issues in this forum is a very 2020s issue: fraud.
That is the biggest blessing our state's ever had, because it's opened our eyes to get rid of the current government we have.
So what would I do differently? Number 1, you hold people responsible that should have been responsible. This is a dereliction of duty in the Army. Okay, the guy at the top, all the way down to the person who did it.
My plan as governor will be to do this. 1, the minute I get in there, I will launch a top-to-bottom audit of state government. I will root out the...
Amy. Your voice doesn't carry well. I'm sorry, it really doesn't. Compare it even to... Let's go back to Kendall Qualls for a second. Let's compare it to just even his voice. Because Mike Lindell, he's got a booming one. Yeah, we're going to do this. I get it. Kendall Qualls, just this gentle guy, just talking or whatever.
This is a dereliction of duty in the Army. Okay? The
Okay.
guy at the top, all the way down to the person who did it.
All the way down to the person who did it. Clear cut. His voice travels pretty decent across a room. Amy Klobuchar, try to tell me she does not give a little bit of old lady energy.
My plan as governor will be to do this. 1, the minute I get in there, I will launch a top-to-bottom audit of state government.
A top-to-bottom audit of state government. Anybody else feel that vibe with me? Is that just me?
I will root out the fraud. I'm going to make sure that we're vetting all the contracts, that there are surprise inspections. You can't do inspections by Zoom. Fraud in Minnesota is a direct result of incompetent Democrat control in this state for more than 16 years.
The candidates also addressed the issue of taxes that impact everyone in the state, from farmers to the metro area.
I'm very focused on what's happening with county property taxes. I'm not going to increase your taxes. I'm going to make sure that we balance our budget.
We need radical change. And radical change starts with a radical change in leadership.
All the money we're going to save in education, not only getting your kids smarter, but your property tax are going to be lowered substantially.
Property taxes here in Minnesota are much too high, and I hear that across the state as I'm visiting with Minnesotans. You have to look at the reason why. We have mandates that have been put on every form of government and business with paid family medical leave.
This is the final public candidate forum for candidates running for Minnesota governor before Tuesday's primary.
I cannot wait to see who wins on Tuesday. I really can't, because it's obviously going to be Klobuchar against somebody, and whether or not Klobuchar will be able to take it home, that has yet to be seen. She does not, like I've said, she does not carry an energy that I find to be inspiring. I think very few people find her inspiring, but who knows? I'm not the general electorate. I am but a humble man with one opinion.
In an unusual move, Senator Amy Klobuchar was seated alongside the three Republicans who were fighting each other for a chance to run against her in November.
And that's not going to happen when my opponents, all three of them, have embraced Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill that cut Medicaid.
All three Republicans trying to win next week's primary, House Speaker Lisa Demuth, businessman Mike Lindell, and GOP nominee and businessman Kendall Qualls, sought President Trump's endorsement. Mike Lindell reminded the Farmfest crowd that he was the one who got it.
Well, I know a guy. I have an advantage over everyone up here. I can call up and work with the President of the United States to get these people back in for all of you. So
he's winning, man.
House Speaker Lisa Demuth says her experience leading the divided Minnesota House of Representatives makes her the most qualified candidate. Kendall Qualls, the GOP endorsed candidate, says his experience in business makes him the most qualified.
Absolutely everything that we passed over the last 2 years had to be bipartisan. We have proven that we can do that here in Minnesota, and as your next governor, my proof is that I can lead this state.
Minnesota has become an anti-business state. The permitting issues are just one. I've heard Governor Walz talk 2 years ago, yeah, we need to fix this. I'm going to put together a committee. We're way beyond committee.
The primary is August 11th. The latest numbers show that more than 100,000 people have already voted. Esme Murphy, WCCO News.
Well, I don't know how much this really mattered. August 11th, ladies and gentlemen, is when we're going to get the results. If you're like me, this is like my Super Bowl. I love when primary season happens. I just love, the midterms. They're always so fun. Because you know what I mean? You only have primary season in the midterms. Then you got to take a break for another 2 years. But this is like a fun thing. It lines up every now and then, and I'm hyped to see who gets the nomination. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to be there for that or any other future broadcasts, like our final one for this week, this Friday, tomorrow, subscribe, like if you liked it, ring the bell for notifications, all that nonsense. I have been Ollie Vogt Larson with your brain on air. I hope you had a wonderful time listening to these stories. I had a wonderful time gathering them for you. I hope you had an even more wonderful time listening to them. I will catch you all in Friday's broadcast, but in the meantime, bye-bye.